Hey everybody, Billy Watkins here with the whole package by Premier Packaging, coming to you today from, as we normally do, the loft at Premier. It's kind of like an industrial club space that we have. And I'm joined today by Kyle Reiter.
Yep,
Kyle, welcome.
Thank you.
How you doing?
Oh, living the dream here at Premier.
As always, we were talking about this a little bit before. You are the service manager and an automation technician.
Yes.
For Premier. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What do you?
So I live over in Indiana. Live on a farm, so we got cows and horses and all that fun stuff.
The last time we had somebody, I always have more fun talking to people from Indiana than that are local for some reason. How far up are you?
I'm out in Greenville, so it's from Premier. It's about 35 minutes or so,
yeah.
pretty close. But
on the way to like Greenville Paoli exit,
yes,
right?
Yes,
okay,
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's we live out there on 350 acres.
Good Lord.
So I work at Premier, and then I go home and start second shift.
And start feeding cattle.
Cows and doing rodeo and all that. So on the rodeo board for my sons and everything. So help run all that.
Why the hell haven't we talked to you sooner? You're the most interesting person I've met here at Premier. I had no idea.
Yeah. So been doing that for quite some time.
Did you do rodeo yourself?
I never did. Whenever I got married, my wife, her aunt, is always been around rodeo her whole life, and then her daughter actually rodeos professionally out in Arkansas and has her PBR card and all that. And my youngest son actually got into it when he was about 2.5, 3 years old. They threw him on a horse with her, and
wow.
Ever since then, he just wants to be a cowboy now.
That's awesome.
So
I love it.
Fun.
Also on the farm, so you got cattle. Are you growing any produce or anything like that?
I have my own garden that I do. It's probably a half acre or so, I guess. Do corn, soybean.
Enough to keep you going for a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Save tomatoes, you some trips to the
fun stuff. So we do enough vegetables in our garden to feed a small army and just give it away. It's where I go to get away from work.
I feel you. That is awesome. If all else, when everything just goes to crap, can I hide out
Absolutely.
there?
Absolutely. Come on out. So,
I love it.
You'll be put to work, but
I can do that. I can do that. How long have you been with Premier?
I think it's 11 and a half, 12 years now.
Awesome.
So,
a while.
I've been here, started off as just a utility tech. There was another technician at that time that we didn't service the type of equipment that we service now. Premier learned my experience on working on different pieces of equipment. And then when David Rafferty was with us, he helped to build the service department and really, I don't know how you want to say it, expand my knowledge to be able to then get other technicians in to be able to expand their knowledge and be able to support our customers the proper way and get our techs to being master technicians and being comfortable working on electrical and just the vast variety of equipment that Premier offers.
Let's back up a little bit because it's a topic that I'm among many topics that I'm an idiot on. But what Premier does in terms of equipment sales and servicing, kind of explain that for me.
Yeah, so Premier, anything that has to do with industrial packaging, right? So obviously we're at a manufacturer and all that fun stuff, making the cases and using consumables. But we also offer a large line of automation to help speed that process up at our customers. So we can offer anywhere from something as simple as a water activated taper all the way up to a fully auto stretch wrapper that nobody even has to touch.
Right.
We have a large line of auto baggers for bagging solutions, case sealers, case erectors, shrink systems, pretty much, like I said, anything that you could imagine or dream up, we can pretty much have that sourced and offer that.
And then the other side of that is, with that equipment, is the maintenance and upkeep of that for customers, right?
So once we either sell a piece of equipment in to a customer and or they have existing equipment, they could ask our sales reps directly and say, hey, we're having a hard time keeping this equipment up and running. So one, we'll come in and do a consultation with our service techs and go through the equipment. And usually it's, again, a consultation, but we're going to let that customer know that it's a lack of preventative care. If the equipment is who knows how old,
Right.
Obviously it's time to look at upgrading to the next. Not saying that the equipment's still not usable, but it is something that it becomes obsolete, so it's harder to get parts for, which we've all seen.
Yep.
Lead times on that. So if you can keep newer equipment in, but keep it up to date and everything, obviously we can retrofit things and make it work to keep the equipment up and going. But at the end of the day, we offer PM services, downtime service. A lot of times anymore, myself or the other techs will actually do video chat with the customer, so
Right.
that way it just gets them up in a much timelier manner. We do like to pride ourselves in having a 24-hour window. So if you call us, we are usually, as long as there's no flights involved,
Right.
we try to get there within that 24-hour time frame to be able to get you up and going. Usually if it's a call before 1 p.m., I'm sorry, we will get there same day.
Nice.
If it is a major issue going on.
Right.
If we can't get there, we're going to still start calling you, get the OEMs involved to help get you back up and going as much as possible, especially if parts are needed. We want to get those before we even try to come out, just so that it's the fastest way of getting things done for them.
Which is what they want, right?
Exactly.
Of course. Have you always been kind of a tinkerer and good with working on machines, or what?
You name it, I've pretty much worked on it.
Okay.
So being on a farm now, we got excavators, tractors, all that fun stuff, baling equipment,
Yeah.
things of that nature. So I work on that kind of stuff in my spare time. I've rebuilt cars, had a 99 Mustang whenever I was younger and took the engine out and put a carbureted engine and redid the entire thing. So
Oh, my
I've
Lord.
always been a tinker. Lawnmowers whenever I was young, just making them faster than what they needed to mow.
That's awesome.
So-
And when I think about it, it's funny because you come from a farm environment with the amount of machines and automation
Yep.
that you have on a farm,
Yep.
and then
So it's
here you
funny,
are.
the things I've learned at Premier and my last job working in the service field, how much of that translates over to that farming side of things. So being able to use, learning about proc sensors and reed switches and things like that, all that stuff is on the equipment that we're using on the farm,
Right.
as well as in the field. So just understanding
Yeah.
how all that works, it just all translates.
similar
it's all just
technologies.
following that power through the system
Yeah.
to be able to do what we need to do.
That is crazy. How have innovations like automation and AI changed the way you approach your work?
So that's kind of a loaded question for the service side.
They always give me loaded questions.
Right?
I don't know.
So the reason why I say it's loaded is because in the service field, I can literally work on, I'm going to use a case erector right now. We sell a case erector to you today. Tomorrow, you sell me one. It's the same manufacturer, same equipment, but it could have different parts on it. The OEMs are constantly trying to better their equipment, make them cheaper for you to be able to purchase at the best cost. So everything is always changing, right? So it's not necessarily AI or anything like that
Right.
in the automation field. It's understanding that our OEMs are doing their best to make the best product for our customers. From the service side of that, we are always changing. We cannot stop learning. We always have to have that mechanical mindset, electrical mindset, because there is no, this is exactly how this works. You have to understand how that power works through the system. You have to understand e-stop circuits, and no matter what piece of equipment we work on, it always, like I just mentioned about the farming stuff,
Right.
it always carries over to the next. So whether it's Orion stretch wrapper, that Orion stretch wrapper is going to carry over to a Landtech stretch wrapper, a Phoenix stretch wrapper, so on and so forth.
Right.
So our techs, we're constantly sending them to trainings. We're constantly sending them to different seminars, going to pack expos, so
Right.
they can constantly be learning and seeing what's out there, what they're going to have to be working with, have that relationship with the OEMs to be able to
Nothing like
be
a good
successful.
trade show, you know?
Exactly. the long 10-hour days on your feet talking to everybody that you can think of.
Swag bags, though. There's always that. So you became a master technician. What did that entail?
So just for Premier, you have to have a good understanding of electricity, circuits, reading schematics, different things of that nature, understanding different read switches, how those things work, just being able to evolve constantly with the equipment, but then also having PLC background, so programmable logistic controller. So it's basically the brains of the equipment. It's telling when a cylinder needs to extend versus retract. It is the brains. So Sterling Schroeder, or Master Tech now, he's in training to be able to do that, be able to log in remotely to PLCs. We will not necessarily write programs for equipment, but we can go in and utilize it for getting equipment up and going faster. So we're not having to do the old school way of, hey, is this read switch working?
Right.
And moving things. We can literally log into it, go to that sensor that we think it might be, and watch that sensor turn on and off, looking at the inputs and outputs. So that having all of that helps us to be master technicians. The other techs that we have, they pretty much do everything that a master tech does. We just don't have the PLC for them. Okay. So that's we utilize the OEMs and Sterling now. Myself part-time in service. I still do high level. Okay. But I'm trying to get out of the field to
do they call you in for the really, really bad situations?
Yes, absolutely.
Or what? How many techs do we have?
Right now we only have the 3.
Okay.
4 including myself. But I'm again still not supposed to include myself in that. But we have the 3. But again, the way that we have our service team set up, we have a very good response time by being able to have our schedule movable and things like that. We've never had issues on getting customers taken care of in a downtime situation because we have that availability, and myself being able to step in if needed to free them up to go to another job. So.
What can you think of, like, the absolute worst situation you've ever where a piece of equipment that's just on life support or something? What's the hardest job you ever had?
The hardest job I've ever had was, we had some KC Reactors. I'm not going to mention the customer that they were at.
That's best.
But they were band-aided together. It was equipment that we would not sell. It was just not good equipment at the end of the day. Nobody could get it going, anything like that. Again, that's when we got called in, had to try to get it going. First and foremost, spent probably 3 weeks altogether.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Hey, we need this going, because the equipment was fairly new.
Right.
So we didn't want to go in and just try to sell another piece of equipment right off the bat. We're here as technicians to get the equipment going. Well, come to find out, that equipment was just never going to work with the system and the cases and everything that they were trying to do. Plus, that customer didn't have any maintenance in-house facilities teams or anything. So you just had everyday operators trying to make things work. And that's where everything was band-aided together and held together with duct tape and baling twine, right? So we ended up going in, we got it going. It would work for 3 weeks or so, and then all of a sudden things would just fall apart again on it. So eventually we came in, had a real heart-to-heart with that customer and said, look, we can be in here every 3 weeks and get this up and going again, but you see the time we've spent, the money you guys are spending for us to be in here to help get this going for you guys. And eventually we got a very good partnership with them, and we're able to help them acquire new KC Reactors, and that led to new case sealers and everything, and so on and so forth. So it was a very happy ending for both parties.
How do you deal with it when you go into a situation and it ends up being, obviously, maybe not the equipment, but the folks running the equipment? Does that ever happen?
Every day. That is from service standpoint. We get a lot of calls from higher ups, the supervisors, director level people to come in. And usually it's
the folks that aren't running the equipment.
yes.
Right? Yeah.
So when we go in, I don't want to talk to those people, unfortunately. As a service tech, we're going to go talk to that operator because they know the most about that equipment usually, and they're going to give us the truth behind it. It's not playing telephone where it's gone through 4 people before we got a call, and now it's all been misconstrued of what's really going on with the equipment. Usually we go in, though, we have the conversation with that operator, and we always try to say that if it's anything more than a watt taper, water activated tape, we try to say that it's in your best interest to have a designated operator for that piece of equipment. They're going to take pride in that piece of equipment, and they're going to run it just because they don't want to have to not do anything and get in trouble for it not running, and they need to meet production, right? So we always try to steer them in the direction of having an operator. But those operators too, they learn from facilities teams, our teams, little things that we're doing, which in turn can be a hindrance to us. So we spend a lot of time not just fixing the equipment, but actually, hey, we want to bring him over to actually show him the proper ways of doing it.
That's crazy, because so really your job entails the maintenance, the fixing, being a master technician, being a little bit of sales, right?
Oh,
or quite
100%.
a bit of sales,
100%.
and helping a customer manage their team.
Yes.
So that's pretty.
It is. Our service team is very knowledgeable of the equipment in general, right? But we have to have a background not just in the equipment. We have to understand how the corrugated's made. We have to be able to call out bad cases or anything like that. We have to be able to
bad stretch wrap,
all of it. So we have to have a broad knowledge of everything in our field, right? We can't just go in and, well, this is my piece of equipment here, I'm going to work on that. Well, okay, if that's working, now what do you do if they're still having issues? So now you have to go look at everything down the line. Is it the cases? No. Okay, is it the operator? Yep.
Yeah.
There we go. So then you have to have the conversation, trainings, everything.
So you're a diplomat
yes,
as well. Yeah.
Yes. So it's kind of a fun process having to do all that and work through all those channels to get everything that you need, and then letting our sales rep know all that as well, because we have to bring them in to make sure they understand what's going on, because they're more on the consumable side. They don't understand equipment. Most of them don't, I should say. I will say that our sales team is definitely stepping up and trying to learn more about the equipment so they can talk high level to it.
Right.
But at the end of the day, that's why we have our automation team as well, to be able to bring automation tech or automation folks and specialists to be able to talk high level, so that way it's not sounding like we're reading off of a one sheeter.
That's awesome. Let's get back to the cows. Are they all just for eating? Do you name any of your cows? Do you have any?
My son's named the cows.
Is that tough? Does he? When he wakes up one day and says, "Hey, where's Bessie?"
No, excuse me. So we have raised our kids to understand that it is a business, and our cows are not pets.
Right.
It's very hard though, because my older son is in 4-H, so obviously we're going to name those, and just because we spend a lot of time with those. But if it's a cow that we're selling for beef or anything like that, because we'll hold some back and sell and things of that nature. But my kids will name them Dinner and Steak, or I mean, they're naming them silly names because they understand what it's for. At the end
the
of the
circle
day.
of life.
Yes,
there. That's all right.
But we've always had them very involved with it.
Does he ever take them to the fair or anything? With 4-H?
So we sold one this past year at 4-H over in Indiana. He did very well for his first time ever doing it. I couldn't hardly get him into the pen with us while we were trying to walk him around because he was so scared of it. Day of the show, he grabbed a hold of it, manned up, if you will, and showed the cow, and ended up getting reserve grand champion for his weight class that the cow was in. And
I love it.
So it was a proud dad moment for me, if you will.
For sure.
So it was a lot of fun though. So it's a lot of work, but a lot of fun.
All right. I mean, when the zombies come, I'm hightailing it to your place.
We got cabins out in the woods. Come on.
Well, that sounds kind of scary too. Kyle, this is about as illuminating a conversation as I've had in a while with someone from Premier. So and I have a lot of them. Thank you very much, sir.
No problem.
If this is a little conceptual here, but if your job was a video game, what would it be called?
So I've actually thought about this quite a bit.
Of course.
I've talked with our other technicians, and the best thing that we could come up with is a game that's already existed, and I played it whenever I was in middle school, and it was the Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
So you're constantly exploring new territory.
Yeah.
You're having to fix your wagon wheel as it breaks, and you're trying not to get
Dysentery. Yes.
so you don't die. So it
your
out.
kid died from dysentery, and then
So that's what we decided it was best, because you go into the customer and you're trying to fill things out, see what's going on. You're having to fix the equipment, and then you're having to, unfortunately, dodge the sales rep, because they are very aggressive. And that would be your dysentery.
That's their job, as they should be, right?
They are advocates for their customers, and so while they might be a pain for me, it's in the best interest of their customers. So understanding that is a good thing.
I love it. The Oregon Trail.
Yep.
Very fitting. Kyle, thank you very much.
I'm glad to be here.
Good to talk to you. Kyle Reiter, everyone. And I'm Billy Watkins for the Whole Package by Premier Packaging. Until next time, adios. Oh, I should have said until next time, happy trails. That would have been better.
Do you have comments, questions, or ideas about this topic? If so, we'd like to hear from you. Please visit primpack.com/podcast to let us know what you think. Thanks.